All right, it's 6 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. Okay, this meeting of the Ripon Area School District has been properly noticed in accordance with State Law 19.84 and related legal references. Our district vision, one of Wisconsin's finest school districts, fostering excellence for all through innovation. So our foreign exchange student does not appear to be here, so we will move on and get the introduction a different time. There are no other comments and no one's signed up to speak. So does anybody have any requests to adjust the agenda? Seeing none, we'll adopt the agenda as presented. And we'll begin with announcement of contributions to the district.
All right, and I wanted to announce that the Ripon Salvation Army made a donation to the Murray Park Outdoor Classroom. And it is musical flowers that will be out there. So they're like musical instruments. There's, I think, 3 of them. And those are valued at $5,861. So we're very thankful for that. And they are beautiful, and I think attached to the agenda is a link. So if anyone wanted to go in there and actually see them, there's a video to show what they sound like. So very, very cool.
Thank you. So first we have a special presentation, and I'll hand over to Betsy to introduce people.
Joining us tonight, and if you guys would like to please come forward to the speaker's table, are members of the leadership team of the Ripon Education Foundation. We have several new board members, as well as new members of our administrative team, and we also have a new person from the media with us. So this is a great opportunity to go over what the Ripon Education Foundation does for our school district. Many of the super cool projects that you see Jolene showcasing on the district social media are the result of grants from the Ripon Education Foundation. It's also a great support to our teachers for innovation in the classroom. Ripon Roar, which is the main fundraiser for the Education Foundation, is coming up November 13th through the 17th. We currently have really strong participation from the board. We would love it if we could move that to 100%. Our teachers are also enthusiastic participants in Ripon Roar. We're so grateful we get strong participation from them, as well as strong participation from the community. So it would be wonderful to have the board leading the way with that, especially since the foundation does so many wonderful things for the district. And this is a group of volunteers that just steps forward to serve the community. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to these ladies. If you would introduce yourselves and just let us know about the wonderful work that you are doing on behalf of our students.
Okay. I'll start us out. I'm Jean Williams, and I am currently the president of the Ripon Education Foundation Board of Directors, and I'm in my 6th year serving on the board. We have, as you can see, a little slide presentation for you. I promise we will not read it to you, and we'll try to keep within our 10 minutes. We want to give you an overview of what the board does and the kind of organization we are. And then, as Betsy has, we'll ask one more time for you to think about making a contribution to the work that we're doing in the district. So if we can move on, I don't know who has charge of the slides for us. Okay. So just an overview. The Ripon Education Foundation was founded 25 years ago. We celebrated our 25th anniversary last year. Primarily by Dick Zellmer and the former superintendent Mike Hackman. The idea was to create an organization that would provide support for innovation in teaching and also provide scholarships for students graduating from the Ripon schools. We have created a relationship with the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. That organization is our fiduciary agent. So they are the people our funds flow through. We are ourselves a 501c3 not-for-profit organization, but working with the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation means that some of the logistics of how you handle donations can get carried out with people who are familiar with all of the rules and regulations for that. We'll talk a little more about what all we do for RASC and the fundraisers. These two women on to my left and right will do that. But I'm going to tell you that we are supported by businesses in town, by alumni, by members of the community, by parents of students in the schools. It is a fairly broad base, which we have expanded exponentially in the last 3 years. So we're really happy about that. We can move on. So there are, you may not know this, about 20 education foundations functioning in the greater Fox Valley area. All of these are 501c3 not-for-profit organizations that raise funds and then distribute those funds to the schools in the form of grants for projects, for special events involving students, and for scholarships. So it is a sort of ancillary to the district itself, and the idea is to provide funding that falls outside of the budgets of what you control, outside of those budgets, so that special projects can move forward. And we are very happy to say that we had budgeted $25,000 for grants for this academic year, and at our board meeting the other day, we had to increase that budget because we are seeing so many grants coming from teachers to us for special projects in their classroom. And we're happy about that. That is not something that makes us unhappy. We are happy about that. The board of directors is all volunteers. It includes a range of people. We have worked very hard in the last couple of years to try to bring in more alumni onto the board and to try to shift the generational makeup of the board. So we're seeing more younger people on the board. The board for 25 years had a pretty stable group of people who ran it. Some of those are still with us, but it is a board that is changing. And in particular, we look for people with specific skills in fundraising, in public relations, in finance, so that the board can function to do the things that we're trying to do. And there's our mission statement: to enrich learning. As with your agenda, our mission statement is on our agenda every month, and as is the district's mission statement. We take it very seriously that we are trying to support excellence and innovation in teaching, that we're also trying to strengthen the ties between the community and the school district. And we think that some of the projects that teachers are doing in their classrooms, especially as we put them onto social media, are helping to sort of highlight the kind of work that teachers are doing in their classrooms to help students learn and to be innovative in the process of doing that. Board officers, I'm the president. Lynn McCarthy is president-elect. Judy Neal is our treasurer. Diane Shady was our past president, and she's currently our secretary. And Cindy Cody is our community engagement coordinator. This group meets as an executive committee and then shapes the agenda of the board. We meet approximately every month. And there you'll see our board members. I put the note on there because I think it's really important that you understand this, that every member of our board is an alumnus of the district or has been the parent of a child, is or has been the parent of a child in the district. So the ties between this board and the school district are very strong. And I think that informs the work that we do, because we have had the experience of having our children in these schools or being in these schools, and I think that has really helped the board to really focus on its mission. And there you'll see our committees and functions. We have an executive committee, a development committee. The community engagement committee is the committee that runs our two fundraisers. And the development committee is the committee that goes out and makes asks of individuals and businesses. We have a grants committee that is probably our busiest committee, and I think that's a good thing. Because what that means is we're getting applications for grants. They have work to do, to look at those applications, to clarify things, and then to get money out of our coffers into the places where teachers need it. And then a scholarship awards committee, Cindy will talk to you a little bit about what happens with that, but that committee reviews the applications for scholarships and makes determinations about who will get scholarships in any given year. And she has those numbers, I don't. Again, our OACF partnership, they are exceedingly helpful to us and to many organizations in the greater Fox Valley. We have been working with them pretty much for the last 20 years. And so they are helpful to us in terms of helping us understand the ins and outs of how not-for-profits operate and then how to handle money coming in and going out from our foundation. All right, Cindy.
All right, so as Jean mentioned, the development committee is headed up by Bill Neal, and there's a few other people that serve on it, Sean Karsten, Alice Miner, Jean's part of that as well. And their job is to talk with people and help get some of the bigger donations in. They've also facilitated things like memorials and some of the things that go on ahead of our big fundraiser in the fall especially, so that we get some of those dollars in ahead of time so that we can go out in an already strong position. Our big, we run 2 fundraisers, as Jean said, in the fall. It's Ripon Roar. We run that during American Education Week, which is, I believe, the 3rd week. So it's the 15th to the 17th this year. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. In the spring, it's a scholarship drive that's been going on for, I think, about 15 years. And we have transformed that a little bit in the last few years. We've also opened up our efforts to online, and we've really been pumping the social media in the last year. We brought on a consultant that has helped us tremendously on that front, and we've seen just nothing but good come from that. So we're communicating our story continually and consistently, and it's bringing in more people to help fund all of our activities. We're also a partner with some other fundraising things that have gone on in the district. So the Inglesfield project a few years ago, we were the house for the money. Basically, we brought that money in, and it's housed at the Oshkosh Area Foundation, and we work with the people that were behind that effort to, do things on the up and up and handle those funds. So Judy and Bill know more about that than I do, but we are a partner in that. We've done things over the years like the science equipment. A few years ago, a bunch of science equipment needed it was before my time, but there was a need for some new equipment in that department, and we put together a fundraiser thinking it was going to take a couple of years, and it took months to get it done and get that project funded. So that was exciting. And then last year, you'll see our numbers in a couple minutes. As Randy Hatlin was preparing to retire from the district, he wanted to do something to give back. He's excellent at fundraising, and he put that excellence to work to our benefit, and we had our best fundraising year ever, and we're really excited to talk about what he did and hopefully follow in his shoes. All right, so our fall fundraiser. In 2020, there was this little thing going around the world that caused us to not be able to gather and have our famous chicken dinner. And it was time for that to fall off anyway. And we had been in conversations about what could we do differently. We wanted an online component. We were talking with Sean Karsten at the college. He gave us some ideas. He kind of handed us his playbook. We did a little find and replace Ripon College with Ripon Area School District and a few things like that, and followed his model, followed their lead, and consequently raised nearly $48,000 with our efforts. That was entirely a letter campaign and an online campaign, and the online campaign was nothing like what we're doing right now. So we sort of just turned the tables on what we do. 21, the number looks like it's low. That's partly because something that was in 2020 we're counting someplace else now, a big scholarship. And then 2022, we celebrated our 25th anniversary. Randy Hatman, his dog Coach, I don't know, I mean, if you caught any of this, you had to have caught Coach helping us fundraise. It was highly effective, and we reached more people, more alums, more businesses. Everybody, stepped up and helped us last year, and it was really work of our board to bring in money every year that we turn around and hand out in May on like the best day of the year. All right, quickly, what we want to talk a little bit about who supports us. And as Jean mentioned and Betsy mentioned a little bit, our board of directors is in at 100%. So every one of us donates something, and it can be a nominal number to a very, very generous number, and we welcome all of it. The district employees have the option of contributing through payroll deduction, and for years, collectively, they have been one of our biggest supporters. That number has changed a little bit over the last couple of years, and every year at the back-to-school in-service, we make a pitch. And this year, we really must have resonated with something because our numbers went up 33%. So we got a lot more people donating. Very consistent, very generous donors for us for years. And then, of course, our friends and neighbors. So we welcome everybody.
So after all the fundraising effort and community support, what do we do with the funds? It's really fabulous to be able to share. And the disbursement includes teaching learning grants, tutoring grants, special programs and projects, scholarships, lottery and merit scholarships, as well as managed scholarships. The teaching and learning grants this past year supported 17 specific awards for a total of $29,000, almost $500. Some of the recent grants include storytelling baskets for elementary students. They contain characters and props that are accompanying read-along books for elementary students. We offer assistance with equine therapy at the Beaming Stables in Neenah. Grants also support German and Spanish programs. There's a wonderful partnership with high school science students and the EAA. And after that experience this year, there was money left, so it spilled over to the Da Vinci Flying Project. I'm not sure if any of you have been in the library here at the high school, but I encourage you to go in the library and look up. And you'll see this spectacular project that high school students have been working on and learned so much from. Grants also supported upgrading of the robotic drivetrain technology. Off-site field trip opportunities are enhanced through grants. Guest speakers come in. Year for a total of a little over $26,000. The Robotics Club went to 2 regional competitions in Milwaukee and La Crosse. Every school in the district received funding for outdoor spaces, including landscaping, gathering spaces and benches, playground equipment. Obviously, the Mind was able to head to the World Competition at Michigan State. We helped support the Wellness Day at Murray Park Quest. And once again, FBLA put Ripon, Wisconsin on the map in Atlanta, Georgia, when they competed at the national competition. Last spring, Cindy had the honor and the thrill of participating in the Scholarship Awards Night, and over $43,000 was awarded to 35 students. Students from Ripon are taking these scholarships to schools and institutions in our backyard, as well as across the country. And we're really proud to be able to help students continue their educational goals through funding through the Education Foundation, which includes all of you and the greater community at large. Before we take questions, we would absolutely be honored and thrilled to give a shout out to Gary Rodman, who has been your representative in the past, and your current representative to the Education Foundation, Betsy Heffernan. She's invaluable and serves in a great capacity with our foundation.
I'm also going to ask Cindy we are in the process of gearing up for our fall fundraiser, as you can tell. Every message is an ask at this point. We have put together, this is a draft, there's still a little work to be done on this, a fact sheet for the foundation. This will go out in letters to prospective donors. It's going to be available in a couple of places in town to give people an overview. And this is an example of the kind of work that we're doing to increase the productivity of our fundraising efforts and make sure that we're getting the message out to everyone about the foundation. And with that, do you have any questions for us? We should also mention that Mary is the official on our board.
Absolutely, both of us.
And Jolene supports us with extraordinary work, making sure that our message gets out through all of your social media also. So it's been the connection with the district is very strong and very helpful for us.
So you mentioned this, but just to stress, a lot of the work that you we're seeing them go over, this is all done by volunteers from the community. These are just people that believe in our school district and want to partner with us to make all of this happen. They put in a tremendous amount of time, tremendous amount of effort. So thank you so much for that. Being able to watch all of you work up close and being a part of that, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to do that. And I would just encourage everyone to support that and to say thank you for the work that the foundation does. And participating in ROAR is a great way to thank our teachers and our staff, and gifts of all sizes just show that you believe in the schools and appreciate the work that's going on.
And I just have to add that not all of us know who participates, nor at what level, but I'm one of the people that does, and I know I can look around this room right now, and the participation in this room already is tremendous. So thank you for those of you that do participate with us. We appreciate you very much.
Okay. If you do have questions, Mary or Betsy will be happy to ask them, and you know, I have a piece of paper that has my email on it, so if you have questions, please feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to talk with you.
Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your turn. You're up.
All right. Well, since the last time I've been here, I think things have been running pretty smoothly from a student perspective. I know it was prior to homecoming week the last time I was in here, but I think that like following homecoming, like everything's just been setting in really nicely. Things have been running smoothly. Everyone's starting to settle in on all of their classes. So I think that's really great. As for homecoming week specifically, I think that all the activities throughout the week ran pretty nicely. The alumni speaker was great. And we had a lot of people turn out for the parade, which was really fun to be a part of. Aside from that, for classes more specifically, I think the phone policy still being enforced, still helping and benefiting students, from my perspective at least. Students are spending more time actually being focused on their work rather than using their phones. And then other than that, I think moving forward this week, from an athletic perspective, we have a volleyball regional game this week and a soccer regional game, I believe. And I think that's really cool that both teams have moved to that level and we're a part of that. And like the student body participation in the student sections for that is really great. There's always a great turnout, very encouraging, and I think that it's only going to get better as we continue to work on this week. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to new business. And the first action item is to consider the Wisconsin English Language Development Standards recommendation. Is there a motion to put it on the floor?
So moved. I'll second.
All right. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. And we vote for it unanimously. Next item is to consider the agri-science elective credit request. Is there a motion to put that one on the floor?
So moved. Second.
Tom, thank you. Again, we heard about it last month. Any questions, comments? I'll call for the vote. And again, it passes unanimously. And third, consider approval of the 2023-24 tax levy and budget changes. Is there a motion to put this one on the floor?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Questions, comments, or Joan, anything from you that we should pay particular attention to?
I think we should just look at some of the things here. So we made adjustments to taxes, general state aid, other state revenue, and ESSER 3 grants. The big thing that we did that kind of touched almost every function of the budget was making an adjustment for medical insurance premiums. We think that that's going to be a challenge for us in January. But we do have ESSER funding, so we're just going to probably end up spending a little bit more of it than we wanted to, having less of it for next year than we wanted to. But that's still in, Mary and I are still meeting with our insurance brokers and still working out our stop loss, and they're still negotiating for us. So it may not be as bad as we fear, or we'll find out.
Have we just taken more advantage, have more people had more expenses? Is that the question? Would we use more?
I think right now is just some high costs, which can happen to anyone.
And just some unknowns because we're in our first year, so we're only looking at part of the year. So what seems high because of the summer months, many teachers and staff do things during the summer, which we appreciate, and we don't have the rest of the year to balance out those months yet. So it may look different too as the years come.
I've heard the industry also is, it's just, it's rising everywhere.
Yeah.
I have a family member who's in that business. And it sounds like, I don't know how the other things impact local insurance, what's going on in other places. So.
Yeah, they said that the costs are trickling down to us or something at the consumer level. I know the state plan increased, one of the state plans increased 11% and one increased 15%. So they're large increases. Unfortunately, we're not totally shielded from it, but we will find out more. Actually, in the next week, we'll find out more. As far as the mill rate goes, the mill rate will be the lowest since 1984. The decrease in the mill rate is primarily due to an increase in state aid and a large increase in property values. The property values of the district increased $99.5 million, which is an unbelievable amount, about 12.6%. So when we look at what's going to happen to an individual's home, I think that the taxes will be lower than in 2019-20. We raised about the same amount of funds in 2019-20 as we are now. We've added more actual property has been added as far as new buildings that have never been taxed before since then. So I think it'll be less than in 2019-20. But homes have been reassessed at higher rates, and so that reassessment, that $99.5 million, that is what's really lowering the property tax. We are raising more than we did last year by about 9.9%. So I would compare for taxes similar to 2019-20. If you were looking back at what you paid then, I think it'll actually be less than that. But the one thing about that is, though, the changes in the municipalities, the percentage of the municipalities that make up our overall district changes. Some are growing faster than others, so some will have, I do think some people will have a decrease in their taxes as well. So it's going to be a mixed bag depending on the value of your home and your municipality. So does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff?
All right, if there are no more discussion, I'll call for a vote to approve the tax levy and budget changes. And they are approved unanimously. So an information item on the staffing changes report. Any comments or questions about the changes? Professional staff changes and support staff changes? Fair number of them?
It's one of our higher groups. We did have 6 new positions, but yeah, it was close to 2,000, right around 2,000.
right, so we'll move on to approval of the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to move from the consent agenda? Then could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So motion to approve. Second.
And you may vote. Consent agenda is approved. So we move on to possible upcoming action items. There are some new course proposals for Ripon High School. Any questions about any of them?
Is there anything you want to highlight or no?
Can you come up there? I don't think so. There were a couple of electives that were proposed for the English department specifically. One of which is a speech course, which I think will be a wonderful addition. Students, especially at that freshman and sophomore level, aside from the required English courses, there are not a lot of elective options at that level. And there is a 4-credit requirement for graduation for English, and I think that this is going to provide just some really nice options for skills that our students could definitely benefit from. The contemporary fiction course also is a class based off of interest for our students, so I think that that will be a high interest course as well for our kids. And then the third proposal is the biotechnology course, which is coming to us from our AIC department. You saw through the approval of our elective courses for the AIC department that he is making some really nice changes to that department, and again offering some really nice courses in that pathway. And the biotechnology is one of those.
I was surprised there was no prerequisite, so it's at a level that's...
Yeah, you know, and I know that Sam Pinchard, our new AIC teacher, he is very diligent about making sure that the coursework is rigorous and that he's doing a really nice job of preparing the students and offering those skills so that as they get into those higher level courses, they're definitely prepared. Yeah, I agree, biotechnology is not an easy topic.
It sounds hard to me.
But yeah, he does a nice job.
Speaking of syllabus, what's the supervised agricultural experience? I see each student needs 20 hours.
Yeah, that is part of the programming requirement for the AIC department, and I believe, I don't know, Bill, maybe you can speak to that. Is that part of the requirement for FFA as well, that they have to put in so many hours?
Yep.
I believe, right?
Yep, the SAE.
Yes, so that is part of that requirement.
That's where actually at a farm working?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, we'll move on. The next item is the academic and career planning guide for the 24-25 school year with a list of its changes. Any questions, comments, things that we should pay attention to and do?
Again, I think the biggest department with the proposed changes is the Ag Science department, and those are all listed there. The only other big change, and it's not really a big change, it's really a formality in terms of changing the name, but we are looking to change the varsity mixed choir name to be reflected as an honors choir for the students. We're hoping that will also help draw students to that particular course. So,
Wasn't it called an honors choir before?
we had been, we've undergone some changes, and with Kenton, when Kenton first came on board, he had requested the changes to some of these, and I think he's finding that the participation in the draw, I think, would be better revisited as honors. Previously, it was like we had the Cantabile choir as, and that was an all-girls choir. This still is a mixed choir of boys and girls, but by honors, it's still that tryout choir. So. any other questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So then we have consider approval of 2024 roofing projects. Any questions for Brian? It's a continuation of what we've been doing, right?
So we did a lot during the renovations, during that 14-16 school years. But now we're just addressing those roofs that we didn't address during that renovation time.
And we do have a really big project that has to get taken care of on the middle school.
Yeah, the old middle school roof, which used to be the tech area and the egg shop, is 30 plus years old, and we really had some challenges with it the last few years.
Any questions for Brian? All right.
It's good to have a good roof over your head, isn't it?
You never like to see the dollars, but
Protects everything inside you. You don't have to think about it.
exactly.
I appreciate all the different formats, you know.
This is one time when we're really happy that those numbers aren't our personal.
This is good, yeah.
We tried doing it as so you can read it.
Yeah, it's very user-friendly. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Legislative update, just since the last board meeting, I had a chance to go to the Fall Superintendent's Conference. It's always held down in Madison. We get a chance to just kind of hear from leaders at the state level. Had some really good speakers, and we also have an opportunity to go to the Capitol for the state of education address. So that's just always a nice time, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that and to interact with superintendents. But boy, there's a lot of turnover every year, so you see less and less familiar faces, but you get a chance to meet some really exciting and up-and-coming leaders, so that's kind of fun too. So, I guess over 10 years you become a veteran in the room instead of a rookie, which is good too. So, but that's always a nice way to start the school year.
All right, we'll move on to teaching and learning reports, the curriculum department highlights for October. Anybody have any questions for Chrissy?
So you have our report card, but you're not sharing it yet, is that correct?
What's that?
You have our report card, but you're not sharing it yet?
We can't yet, it's not public information.
Okay.
It's like a review process too to go
Right.
through and make sure that it is correct. So
Sure.
yeah, we put something out that may not be accurate. So.
There is a state assessment press release that's going to be sent out. It was just kind of on the heels. I wasn't able to get it out in time with the board meeting, but I will be sending that out to the district as well as the board. You'll have access, and you will be pleased with the results. So,
That's good to hear.
preview.
Good teaser.
It is a good teaser.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to business-related reports. The first one is the third Friday enrollment report. Any comments about that?
Shelley, do you want to just talk through just a little bit, some of the changes or things that...
Yeah, there's not too many changes since we had the September, but we had district enrollment, the summary was 1661. It was a decrease of 48 students from last year. You can kind of see enrollment by year in each grade level, and then you can see enrollment by each school, and also how that changed over the last 8 years. We still have higher enrollment than we did back in 2018-19 because of our virtual school, but our resident population is declining a little bit. Over time, we'll have less revenue because of it. We have less revenue now because of it, but the revenue limits have changed faster than our enrollment has declined. So the revenue limits have grown faster than our population loss. But we're like about 70% of the state as far as declining enrollment goes. So.
It seemed like the third grade had a big drop. Was that something it just was more noticeable, I guess, with 18?
Yeah, it's 18 from the prior year, and that cohort dropped by about 8 students. So those kids, compared to last year, we lost about 8 of them. Some of that probably happened more in the virtual school, I would guess. It would be my guess, just looking at it. But, you know, there's been, you know, we're looking at that. We're trying to get
The
as many
third
students.
grade group overall, though, as they moved on to the next grade, 2 more students joined. So that group of students actually grew.
Oh, you're right. The group that went from 3rd to 4th grade
But the second grade that then
went to
third
3rd
was small.
grade, lost.
Did lose 8
Yeah.
students. So.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Jonah, if it would be possible on the 8-year overview kind of thing to have an extra row in a couple of places to bring all of K2 together and all of 3-5 together, because I get tired of trying to add the numbers together to see what it's actually looked like, because you know, it was all Barlow Park to start with, but then it splits off into 2 charter schools. I got to add them up and see if it's not too much work.
Yeah, to have a like a subtotal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Until we get so far that we're not looking back to.
Yeah.
And one of the things, though, that's interesting is you talked about just cohorts and drops. One of the places where we notice we have a drop is when our students at the virtual school leave 6th grade, because we have a 4K6 model and a 712 model. So that's one of the things that we want to explore for the students and see if we can't retain more of those 6th graders and create more of a middle school concept. It's just something we're kind of talking about to make sure that there isn't something within the design of our school that's causing us to lose students. And maybe it isn't. Maybe those kids just move on to a middle school, but just something we want to talk to those students about, and Rebecca's leading the way with that.
It's more of a social element too, when you go into 6th, 7th grade, that they want to be with.
We don't know, but we think, that they've been with the same teacher, over multiple years, and want to make sure that there's not something within our model that we could do to retain those students.
Any other comments? And we'll move on to the interim, general fund interim budget report. Any questions for Jonah? All right, then we'll move on to the food service interim budget report. Any questions here? I'll move on to school operations reports. Any comments about any of the school's highlights? And I think we're ready. Once the computer catches up with me. I'll accept a motion to convene to close session. You are?
Second.
Two presidents, but I heard no from the and we'll vote. All right, thank you all very much for attending. We will move into closed session.